The game is tied in the ninth inning. 2 outs and bases loaded. It's a one-on-one battle between the pitcher and batter. The championship overtakes. Do you still think that baseball is unexciting, or is that it's boring? There's numerous individuals out there concluding that baseball and softball is not a sport. I'm going to argue why baseball and softball is a sport, and how you need to have patience, its importance, and finally, how people are denying it. To begin with, people have said that in baseball you need to have less training. There was an article called Answers for Men on April 6th, 2011, and it talks about how in baseball it requires less training, the least athleticism, and the smallest amount of effort. That's not necessarily true. You may not know, but the game of baseball is fast. If you're an outfielder and the ball is hit your way or in the gap, you have to sprint and try to catch it. How does it not? How is that not putting effort, or how is it not being athletic? You really need to put effort into playing this kind of sport. And other individuals conclude that you don't need to be in shape because some baseball players are overweight, like CC Sabathia or Prince Fielder. Well, these players use their weight for power, and um, the managers they pay these players in order to hit home runs over the park or pitch really good. So my point is that baseball is a sport, and you need to put a lot of effort in order to be successful. Second, baseball and softball you need to have patience. It's a long game, but there's always an exciting moment to it. Just because there's more time between action does not necessarily make this sport less challenging. People enjoy the one-on-one battle between the pitcher and batter. There was a book I read called The Mental Game of Baseball, published in 1989, and it talks about how batters and pitchers prepare themselves before facing one another. For pitchers, they use 50% mental and 50% physical. But for batters, it's 75% mental and 25% physical. And according to another article by the New University of Irvine, the writer Andrew McClanian published this on April 12th, 2011. It talks about how baseball is sprinkled all around the country and is an international sport. There's also minor leagues to help encourage the fans to become fans of a bigger major league team. Also, have you noticed that there is even little kids playing on national TV? For both softball and baseball, it's called the Little League World Series. And players from all over the world, kids, they come like from Mexico, USA, Chinese Taipei, Japan, Australia, Valenzuela. All these kids come, and it's exciting. If you get to see it on TV, you'll be overwhelmed because these little kids play their hearts out. And finally, softball athletes are being denied in their biggest event. There is no professional softball in the United States, or they have a small program, the National Pro Soft Pitch. In an article called Pro Softball Not Eliminate Stand by Els Menaker, published on May 30th, 2012. The title says it all. Softball is not being noticed around the U.S. or the country. There is a Cherry Kemp, who is the president of the National Pro Soft Pitch, says in a statement, "A lot of people don't know there is a professional softball. In fact, you don't see these softball players to the Olympics, but in the Olympics they decide to take baseball and softball away." In a newspaper article from USA Today called Baseball Softball Bunker Olympics, published on July 8th, 2009, it talks about how they took this sport because there was no interest. For me, I argue about this because I'm fighting that baseball and softball should be in the Olympics because it's one of the better sports in the country. And even the Olympic Committee is arguing and fighting to put back baseball into the Olympics. And by the year either 2016 or 2020. So if you're watching a game, it's the ninth inning, bases loaded, 2 outs, and it's 4-1 batter between the pitcher and batter. It's exciting because you don't know what's gonna happen. Are they gonna win? Is the other team gonna win, or is the other team gonna win? So you need to go to a baseball game to be overwhelmed. If you see huge crowds, your heart drops. It's just an exciting time to be there. Baseball is a sport, and it's really fun. I love baseball, and I argue that it is a sport because it's just fun. And if you play it, you'll be overwhelmed. You'll have so much fun. So um You should go to one day a game or watch it on TV. Either watch little kids, the Little League World Series, softball or baseball, or watch a major league team. You'll be like, your heart will drop by just watching the game because these players they compete until from the first inning all the way to the ninth, or the first inning all the way to the seventh. It's a really good game, so it's really important. And for baseball and softball, you need to have patience. It's significant, and finally, everybody's denying it. But I argue that it's a great sport, and it is a sport. Thank you.